Hey guys, and welcome to video number 1 from our brand new course, Play Like Your Favorite Tennis Player.
How often have you watched a match between Federer and Djokovic or Rafa and Murray and wondered what it is that makes those guys so special? How do they win their matches? What are their strengths, and how can we use their strengths and put them into our own games so then we can win more matches? And it's not just the tactical, we're going to look at other strengths too, such as the physical, the technical, and the mental ability to win. We're going to put all these together into one big course for you to learn from. All these strengths are going to help you win more matches.
So in this first video, we're going to be looking at how you can hold serve like Roger Federer.
Now, Roger Federer has always been among the top in the leaderboard for holding serve throughout the year. He hasn't got the biggest serve, but it's accurate and he knows exactly what to do from the next shot.
Now his serve set plays is what really helps him hold serve efficiently time and time again. And this is what we're going to work on in this video for your game. So Alex, when you were playing on the ATP Tour yourself, did you use the set plays on your service games?
Definitely. Every pro trains set plays as part of their everyday routine. You need to know exactly what you're doing with every shot, so when it comes to the crunch point, there is no indecisions.
So Alex, what do we mean by set plays?
Now, set plays are a selection of patterns that a player will use, starting with a serve, followed by a few shots afterwards, where we try and predict what our opponent will do with their shots, and we have the answers ready for when the situation occurs.
So it sounds like you're almost predicting the future, Alex, prior to your opponent hitting their shot.
That's right, so we have these what-if scenarios. What if my opponent hits the shot here? What is my answer? If my opponent hits to the other side, what am I going to do? To have these set plays really helps you when the going gets tough on these pressure situations. You want to be able to pick out these shots that you need to hit automatically, and the more you practice those set plays, the more they become ingrained into yourself, into your play, into your mind. You're able to execute them effortlessly. Now let's have a look at the deuce side first. When Roger hits that out wide serve into the player's forehand, he tries to get onto his own forehand and hit an inside out into the open space. One of the main tactics in tennis is to exploit the opponent's space. So if you see them stretched outside of the court, you want to exploit that open space with your weapon, and that's exactly what Roger tries to do on those wide serves on the deuce side.
So with his serve, he's trying to get the player into the tram line or beyond, and that's then giving him the space into the open court.
Now sometimes if the player does manage to get it quite wide onto the forehand, it's a good idea to go cross court in order not to lose court position. If I was to go down a line, I'd expose my backhand wing, someone would be able to attack me there, and it's something that Roger never does. So if you're outstretched on that forehand, he'll go back cross court, and sometimes, just like I did, he'll catch the player off guard as they're preparing to cover their backhand side.
Now what happens, Alex, if the player is good enough to get that return down the line to Roger's backhand? What does he do on that shot?
Now Roger has a great one-handed backhand. When he uses a lot of topspin, he'll go for a slightly more of an angle to again get that player moving and get him outside of the court. He'll then use his forehand again to either go back behind or go into the open space again, making that player run side to side and losing ground on the court. Now on the tee serve, because the player has more angle to find Roger's backhand, he knows this, so he'll use his slice to neutralize play, to get it cross court, to make it go a little bit shorter, and then use his forehand again into the open space or go back behind. So depending on how fast the player is, depends on where he's going to hit the ball. If the player is really fast at recovering, he'll perhaps play the back behind option. If the player is quite slow, perhaps carrying an injury, he'll always play into the open space and get the player moving side to side as much as possible. Again, he's using his forehand, he's trying to dominate play with that forehand and opening up into the open space.
when Roger goes for the body serve on the due side, once again he's looking for that forehand to start dictating play with.
Now often Roger will come forward after that shot. If he does find the space into the player's backhand, he'll use that opportunity to come forward, to get into the net and hopefully put the volley away.
Another thing that Federer does really well is that mixture of spins and speeds. So you rarely see Federer hitting the same serve 2 times in a row. He likes to mix up the placements with the spins and the speeds. Now what this does to the opponent is it throws them off, so they never know what to expect. Sometimes he'll hit a kick serve down the tee. The next one he might hit a slice serve down the tee, and then he might go for the big 130 with the flat one down the tee. So he's always mixing up the spins. This throws off the opponent, they never know what to expect next. And as a returner down there, when you are facing someone who keeps mixing up the speeds and the spins, it's very hard to get your timing and to get your rhythm, so it's very hard to get into those service games. If you always hit the 130s or you always hit the 120s and you always hit the same spot time and time again, you're going to start adapting your game and you're going to start to get those in. If you keep mixing it up, your opponent's going to find it very hard to break your serve. So one of the reasons that Federer is so effective is his movement patterns around that forehand and up to the short forehand. So there's different ways to move, and it's important that you learn all of these footwork patterns and that you master them.
So the first movement pattern we're going to look at is for the inside in or the inside out forehand. This is when you run around the ball, instead of hitting a backhand, you try and hit a forehand from the backhand side.
The first step that Alex is going to take, if he has a lot more ground to cover, will be this right leg crossing behind his left leg, and he'll try and make this step as big as possible, as you can see. So it's not just like one small step, but it's like a big jump and a push off to then propel his body out wide to cover as much space as possible. This is particularly good if the ball is a little bit higher and wider and he has to get around that ball as quickly as possible to take it on the rise.
Now while moving, I'm also turning my body. This helps me then release the shoulders for when I want to hit the ball.
So this is that coil and uncoil, and he's doing that while he's moving around that ball.
You can cover quite a lot of ground with just 2 crossover steps. You can cover most of the court. So if you do it well, you really jump far, you can get it done in 2 steps, and again after the shot you can either move forward into the net or recover with those 2 recovery steps back to the middle.
So you're covering a lot of ground and you're being energy efficient at doing so. Now if that inside in or out forehand that you're going for is a little bit closer and you don't have to cover so much space, you're going to use the side shuffle like so. So he's taking small steps, he's moving around the ball very fast, and this will help him stay balanced and set up for that shot as quickly as possible. So he's not having to cover too much ground with these steps. This is for when the ball's around midway between the center line and the tram line. Now when moving forward to the short forehand, you've got 3 options for the footwork pattern.
Now the first movement pattern we're going to look at is the pivot step. So it's the pivot forehand when Simon's going to have his left foot planted and he's going to pivot around it, moving his body into the shot. His right shoulder will come through and he's able to either move forward or recover back depending on where he is on the court. Movement number 2 is the right foot to left foot. This is where you have a little bit more time and you're able to step forward, plant yourself in with an open stance, and then continue moving onto your left foot, jumping into the shot and then either recovering or going forward into the net. This gives you a lot more power on the shot because you're able to coil yourself up much more than on the other stance, and you're able to separate that shoulder from the hip and use that uncoiling rotation with the trunk, with your obliques, with your stomach muscles. It's going to generate a lot of power for you.
Now this shot is going to be used mainly on the wider and higher balls where you have to set up with that open stance, and then you can move forward or you can push back if you have to.
Footwork pattern number 3. This is the left to left move. This is a transition shot where you're going to have to go to the net. This is particularly useful if the ball again is quite low. It's between maybe your shoulder and your hip. It could even be slightly lower, and your body weight is already moving forward into the shot. So you're running up to the ball and you want to continue with your momentum going into the net.
Now this shot is particularly useful for the down the line approach when you're having that low ball, like Alex has said, that low ball that you want to keep your momentum going forward down that line.
Now by going down the line with a shot, because you're following the line of the ball, you're going to be in the best position at the net to cover either the down the line or the cross-court pass.
Now after all those shots, you can either decide to go to the net, to transition into net, or you can push yourself back into the baseline position. It depends where you are on the court, and it depends your tactical intention for the next shot.
It also depends which way your body's moving. So if your body momentum's pushing you forward, it'd be silly to stop and then actually try and get back. So that would be the time for you to hit the ball and then come forward. For example, the left to left option, because your body momentum's going into the shot, you're flowing through the ball. It's going to be very difficult to then stop yourself and then move back. So on that option, I'd say you have to go to the net. On the others, you can decide, and it of course depends. If you are close to the net, then you might as well go there. If you're on the baseline, it might take you a while to reach the net, which will give your opponent time to hit the passing shot. So you have to take that into consideration.
Now if you are just a couple of feet inside the baseline, then you hit that, either the pivot step, or you hit the right to left, and you feel that you're not in the right position to move forward.
So as Simon's rotating, he's then using the outside leg to cross over step and side step back into the middle, so he's able to recover efficiently and cover a lot of ground with fewer steps. What you don't want to do is either move backwards and run backwards. So you don't want to step back and run back like so, because that's going to take a lot of time. It's going to be difficult for you to get back into position in time before the opponent hits the ball.
Now when Federer is serving on this outside, he's also got a couple of serve set plays that he likes to go to.
So on the wide serve, what you're trying to do is either go back behind into the backhand space. So once the opponent has made their return, if it's a mid-court ball, you're looking to run around again using your weapon, using your forehand, looking to get around your backhand, use that inside-out forehand into the backhand side. Or if you have the space, if the ball hasn't quite made the middle and it's a little bit more into the forehand side, you can use more of an angle shot to pull the opponent out wide, and then use another shot, the inside out, to go into the backhand and perhaps approach with the steps that you have just learned.
Now if you serve in the body and they manage to get it back into that mid-court area, you can choose to go either into the open space or back behind them. So this is up to you on each individual shot.
Now when you go down the tee on the outside, because the opponent's already falling into the direction of the ball and they're falling into that side, you try not to go into the forehand side as often, because they're going to probably be standing out there, their body weight's moving out there. It's going to be a lot easier for them to retrieve the next shot. So you try and go back behind into the backhand. So it'd be an inside out forehand into the backhand of the opponent.
Now if they can hit that return into your backhand, once again Federer uses that short backhand cross court, the drive with a lot of spin, to go back into the backhand corner and push them off the court, and then look for that inside out forehand. And if he's in trouble off that return, he might use that slice angled cross court.
So in all of these situations, you're trying to use your weapon, that's your forehand. You're trying to maximize the open spaces that are available to you, so going into the open space whenever possible, unless the opponent is falling into that space already, and going into the opponent's weakness, which is usually the backhand. You can again follow through into the net, or you can stay behind and look to dominate with your forehand on the other shots too.
Now, just like on the deuce side, where Federer likes to mix up his spins and speeds, you can also do the same on this ad side. So a great tactic that Federer likes to use a lot is that kick serve, push the player out wide into the tram lines hopefully, and then look to go into the open space. So this is something that I'm going to try and do, and that you should be looking to do in your own matches. Now there, because I hit the forehand and I felt my momentum going forward, I chose to come in and finish off with the volley. Now once again on that return, Alex hit a bit wider. I didn't have the space to go into his forehand, so I chose to go back behind him and start the cross-court rally, which I'm happy to do. Now on that point, I chose to hit that approach shot to his forehand, which is Alex's strength and most players' strength, and that is the danger when you run around, you're giving a lot of ground. So I should have really went back into the backhand and made him hit the passing shot with his backhand. Now when I'm hitting this serve, my focus really should be on getting out of that service motion as quickly as I possibly can, seeing where Alex's return is coming, and then choose to decide to go either back into his backhand corner or the forehand corner. But I have to see the return as quickly as possible to give me more options. Now there, once again, I felt that Alex's strength was going to pass me, so I went into the backhand corner, see what he could do, and volleyed into the open court.
Thank you guys for watching. Try out the Federer set plays yourself and let us know what you think.
Now remember guys, this is video number 1 from our brand new course, Learn to Play Like Your Favorite Tennis Player. Now video number 2 will be coming out in the next couple of days, and if you're subscribed to us via email, you'll get that email with the link as soon as it goes live. And if you haven't subscribed, go to the website right now, subscribe for the emails, and you'll get that video sent to you.
Who is your favorite tennis player, and what would you like to learn from them? Perhaps there's something that you see someone do really well and you think, wow, I could use that in my game. Perhaps you want some explanation on that, and we are here to help. So let us know underneath, leave a little comment, and we'll try and film something for you guys shortly.
All the best guys, and speak to you soon.